Welcome to this tasty episode of Event Explorer. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we have a special treat for all food and wine enthusiasts. We are thrilled to have Michelle Meter, the founder of Fast Forward Events and the mastermind behind the now renowned San Diego Bay Food and Wine Festival with us. Michelle's journey in the events industry is inspiring and fascinating. We can't wait to dive into the story of how she created one of the most celebrated culinary festivals in the country. Food and wine festivals really have become a vibrant part of the culinary industry. They not only spotlight the talents of chefs and winemakers, but also serve as a vital platform for small producers to gain recognition and grow their business. These festivals can drive significant economic impact, boost tourism, and shape the culinary identity of a region. Michelle has taken the traditional format and now advanced it even through educational and cultural collaborations, ensuring that the San Diego Bay Food and Wine Festival is not just about indulgence, but also about learning and cultural appreciation. Michelle's festival goes beyond the typical food and wine experience by integrating educational components and multicultural programming. Through partnerships with organizations like the James Beard Foundation and Food Tank, as well as collaborations with the Baja Board of Tourism and the Consulate of Mexico, Michelle has created a festival that celebrates diversity and promotes sustainability. Attendees are not only treated to exquisite culinary delights, but also gain rich insights into the stories behind the food. So before we get into our conversation, I want to remind our listeners to engage with us on social media and make sure to hit the subscribe and follow buttons on your favorite podcast app so we can continue growing this podcast. Now, without further ado, let's jump into our interview with Michelle Meter and explore the delicious and enriching world of the San Diego Bay Food and Wine Festival. Enjoy. Well, welcome, Michelle. It is fantastic to have you here on Event Explorer today. As someone deeply passionate about food and wine and unique experiences, I'm thrilled to dive into all the great stuff you do in the world of the San Diego Bay Wine and Food Festival, Fast Forward Events, your company. Well, let's just get started right now. Let's get started knowing a little bit more about you. I'm always wanting to tell the stories of these great event creators, and you are one of them. Let's talk about how you came to this industry and how you came to found your company, Fast Forward Events. Where did it all begin?
Oh my gosh. So way back into the origin story. Let me see. I want to say, I feel like my story is not so unique to a lot of people who wind up in this space. I think that people who wind up producing events for a living, we all just kind of happen into it in some way and realize that we've got such a passion for it that it just becomes part of like the engine that drives us. I think, I've looked, and I think part of the statistic is when you look at the most stressful careers that you can pick, being in event production is right up there with, first responders. And I think PR pros was one of the other, most stressful jobs.
Sure.
I don't think it was something that I naturally chose. I think it chose me. My life's work just kind of built into launching my company back in 2004 with my business partner, Ken Loyst. But previous to that, I had always been connected to or somehow involved in producing experiences, no matter what my given occupation at the time was. Like in my early career while I was in college, I worked for a bookstore, and I was driving events on premise in retail. And then from there, went to work for a national nonprofit organization in their fund development team doing events there. And then, from there, it just kind of kept growing and growing. And I wound up for a while I was, I had just graduated college and actually met my now business partner, who owned a national, an international scuba diving magazine. He owned a publishing company. And I know, right? And so kind of not a bad gig right out of college. I went to work for him and was in media for many years with him, running events in action sports. He eventually sold his business to a large publishing company at the time. It was Peterson Publishing, which was one of the largest specialty interest publishing companies. And we wound up doing, the events just kept getting bigger, more involved, more integrated, working with international, national brands and driving strategies that enhanced their media commitments with the publishing company that we were working with. So, all of that was, I think, the precursor to us looking at and identifying ways that we would ultimately wind up collaborating together and launching our business. We wound up producing a top 200 trade show in the scuba diving industry. It was the Diving Equipment and Marketing Association show. So I did B2B and trade shows for a while in my early career. Had some time in public relations where I worked for a national boutique PR agency running both their business to business division and then also working in their travel and tourism division. And I think all of that was a really great foundation when my partner and I started talking about starting something together. We had this, I can't say I grew in a passion with wine. He had the passion for wine. When we started talking about launching our company, I was in my mid-20s. So I would go over to his house, and his wife's an amazing cook, and we'd sit down and he'd open bottles of wine and he'd start talking and educating me about what we were drinking. And he was traveling around and going to a lot of the wine and food festivals in the country. And I was tagging along at that point. And we came back and I was like, at some point, someone's going to start something in our market. Why not let it be us? So we just started laying the foundation, and that foundation became a business. And that big business now 20 years later, became us producing trade shows and conferences and symposiums and digital assets and consumer wine and food festivals, all focused around experience and lifestyle and culinary. And that's really, really where we zeroed in on.
Man, and now you're producing this myriad of events and supporting an industry that you've grown to love and has a lot of great characters in it. I mean, it's intriguing from the title. I want food and I want wine. I'm going to come to the festival. How did you recognize kind of what this event stood for, and what are the pieces you needed to bring together to make the San Diego Food and Wine Festival, happen? And then let's get into a little bit of how it's unique and tailored to the area.
Yeah. So, this was 20 years ago. Which I think sounds better than 2 decades, because when I say 2 decades, it ages me too much.
Longer for some reason.
It does. Yeah. I know. I'm much happier saying our 20th anniversary. So when we started, there was a wine and food festival in Santa Fe, and it still is going on. It's the Santa Fe Wine and Chili Fiesta. It's wonderfully produced. It is one of those events that you go to where there's a true sense of place, right? It's not that you could pick up and replace the content no matter where you are. When you go, you feel like you've arrived. You're somewhere outside of going and attending an event in your own hometown. And it's beautifully produced. The food's always great. The wines are always spectacular. The events are solid. And so in our early iteration, we met with them, and they were gracious and lovely and helped give us a roadmap. And we took it back to San Diego. We met with our restaurant associations. We met with a lot of the key constituent groups that we felt like we needed to have their support in order to do this the way that we had envisioned. We also worked with our tourism marketing district. We knew we wanted it to be held at a time period that was a need period for tourism for the city. And so we just, we started just kind of plugging along and laying some groundwork. I would say that over the course of the last 20 years, we've been evolving. We've been maturing and changing and looking at how we carve out our own unique identity. There are a lot of food and wine festivals out there. So, we're always asking ourselves, why would someone choose to come to us? And when they come to us, what are they going to remember, and how are they going to feel? And I think that where we're evolving to and where we're headed, I'm really excited for the future of this show.
It's a tourism draw, but also a local draw. What's the audience makeup there? Are you bringing in, selling hotel rooms and being that kind of draw as well?
Yeah, so about 38% of our audience comes from outside of our surrounding market.
Fantastic.
The city of San Diego, the Convention and Visitors Authority, the Tourism Marketing District have been phenomenal partners in helping to create this experience for the city. And they really do view it that way. We drive around 8,000 room nights for the city over the course of the entire week. And it has significant economic impact. And I would like to think that it really has helped shape the narrative over what dining looks like and what culinary tourism looks like for the city of San Diego. It has become highly recognized as a signature event for the city, but also when you look nationally and people are making the decision that they want to go somewhere and they want to travel somewhere, they want great dining experiences. And this is part of the story that we get to tell now about what we call our bioregion. So it's San Diego County and then down into Baja and the Guadalupe Valley too.
Oh, excellent. So there's representation as well for the neighbors to the south there. And that's definitely something that other cities are not offering, right? Especially the Baja region.
Absolutely. It's a huge part of our story. It's a huge part of how we look at and how we shape our event. Part of what we've looked at, we met as a team. We got a lot of our partners together at the beginning of the year, and we looked inward very critically, and we said, look, as we continue, we're going into 20 years. What are we going to do differently? How are we going to continue to lead in this space? How are we going to get uncomfortable, and do things that are going to push the envelope here about what the future of festivals in our world should look like? And we zeroed in on a handful of pillars. One of them is our multicultural approach to our programming, and really looking at the different cultures and cuisine that shape the way that we dine and that we eat and that we converse and we share over food. Our partners with the Consulate of Mexico and the Baja Board of Tourism are critical for the way that comes to fruition. In so much that 2 years ago, we actually, our finale for the entire festival, we actually created a whole event called our Grand Fiesta. So our grand weekend is our grand decant, our grand tasting, and then our finale is our Grand Fiesta. And that is a celebration of our cross-border cuisine. It's features Latin and Latinx chefs and winemakers and brewers and distillers and artists and musicians, and it's really culturally significant. And we have a full advisory board that works on that alone with us, just that one event. So when we're looking at the roadmap for the entire week, you'll see a lot of integration. And we're also working with Team Mexico out of the Bocuse d'Or for the Bocuse d'Or to help them fundraise. You'll see dinners and events and mezcal tastings and tequila education, a lot of spirits from Mexico that wind up participating. So it just becomes a really robust part of our programming. But then also we're also really looking at our Asian community and a lot of the restaurants down through our Convoy district, and educating about the ingredients and a lot of the chefs and the partners that that work really hard throughout the year on their own establishments, how we help support them as well. So it becomes the fabric of the event.
And that then now we have a unique event that is specifically tailored to telling the story of San Diego through flavor, through wine, through culinary expertise. Incredible. And I love that. We were talking before, I lived in San Diego for a few years there. That Convoy district is like, you just start salivating as soon as you're driving down the street. It's a treasure trove of tons of unique Asian flavors that are all really concentrated in that area. But a tourist wouldn't necessarily go to that. So you're bringing this downtown and focusing it towards really telling that story of the city.
It goes beyond that too. As we evolve as a festival, we are really moving past being an entertainment only event, which I would say for the last 20 years, we've delivered really, really well on that. People come and they have a great time. We have a scholarship program where we've awarded culinary scholarships, culinary and enology scholarships to students and professionals from throughout the city. So we've always had a philanthropic part to what we do, but we've let the entertainment lead with every aspect of the event. What we're really moving toward is being a multi-genre, multicultural, mission and value-led festival, and letting our values lead with the way that we curate our content. People are still going to have fun, but they're going to be able to come and know that what they're participating in is driving a bigger mission. And I think that our consumers today care a lot about that, and they want to participate in things that, yes, they want to go have a good time, but they also want to know that the dollars that they're spending go to things that matter. And we've partnered this year with an organization called the Food Tank. They're one of the largest global public policy organizations around the good food movement. Danielle Nierenberg is one of the founders of that. She's coming out to moderate 100 minutes of a summit in partnership with our NPR affiliate with KPBS around the good food movement. So we'll have journalists and celebrity chefs and farmers and fishermen and advocates and policymakers and for-profit CEOs participating in this really big think tank style summit that will then broadcast out. And the whole goal is to spark conversation and to inspire and motivate people to be part of a movement of change and to really care about where your food is coming from and understand and ask questions and understand that not everybody has such great access to produce, that there are food deserts still in our own hometown, in our communities that exist, and to understand what role we play in that. So Food Tank is a big a partner of ours. We're really excited to have them on board. This year, we also partnered with the James Beard Foundation. So our opening night to one of our to our big weekend is a fundraiser for the James Beard Foundation. We're really excited about that because everything that they stand for, the organizations that they fund, really fall in line with the missions that we have as an organization. So we're super excited about that partnership. We also have a content partnership with the Coronado Island Film Festival this year. So we have a whole track on film and documentaries, and we'll be doing a whole series of screenings that will have panel discussions and tastings that fall after. One of the films that we're screening is Fish and Men. So really, talking about sustainability in our oceans, which of course in San Diego is a big part of, the way we eat. So that, yeah, just some amazing partners. We're just excited to kind of lead in this way and show how you can weave in really great strategic partners that bring a global look at food and culinary into our market in San Diego. So yes, we're celebrating what's happening in San Diego, but very much bringing the world of food and wine here.
A global conversation, and something that one doesn't assume with a food and wine festival. You are being brave in this, and you can tell that there's so much passion going into it and looking towards a direction that really is sustaining an entire industry and growing an industry. James Beard Foundation is so focused on the next generation of chefs, making sure that they're getting the attention they need, because it's not an easy industry, and it's an industry where a lot of people can exit too early or prematurely or not get the attention that they need. So that's fantastic that you can be kind of a living, breathing embodiment of that in the Southwest region and Southwest, including Mexico and Southern California, and I'm sure out into the desert.
Well, I think a lot of it is about listening to what our chefs care about, and not just our chefs, but our community. What do our farmers care about? What do our growers care about? We have really great advocates who keep us very grounded. Individuals like Jack Ford, who's with Taj Farms out here. He is instrumental in really continuing to advance the conversation about our growers. The Ecology Center is another wonderful partner that we're working with to create a sustainable footprint on top of our festival. And we've got a roadmap that we're working on towards that. So it's about listening to what our community cares about and being okay with challenging ourselves to drive programming that will focus in on that, and know that the chefs and the partners and the celebrities who join us do so because it's in line with their values, and because they, this is their life's work. They're passionate about it. And we're seeing that happen with a lot of the talent that's joining us to help lead in this conversation.
So you're getting an audience that is in for more than just food and wine now. You are drawing people that have interests in ecology, sustainability, authenticity. Tell me a little bit about the audience experience, how you're crafting that. That it's almost like a conference and a food and wine festival. There's definitely a lot of informational, educational content, but I'm sure there's people that I would come there and enjoy that, but also be pursuing, okay, what does this translate into this amazing little bite of food I'm going to have here? So how does the audience experience? How do you kind of grow that and keep them coming back and keep them being able to sample these things?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think that that's a really great way of like mentally like translating what I'm saying, because throughout the week, there are, I think, like 800 different wines that wind up getting poured. We have wineries from almost every wine growing region in the world, really. I mean, we have all major countries represented in terms of the brands that'll be there. We have, I think, like 130 plus chefs that wind up joining us throughout the week. So there are dinners and expeditions and immersive tastings and lunches, and like Ray Isle, who wrote a phenomenal book, which I thought I had in my office, which I do not, but it's The World of Wine in a Glass. And he's coming out and doing a seminar for us. He's the editor also of Food and Wine, the wine editor of Food and Wine magazine. So the audience that's there, like they're getting this information, but then they get to taste and experience it and understand what it actually means, rather than going up and saying, oh my God, this is a great bite of food. It's going up and having a great bite of food and knowing that what they're eating was maybe sustainably sourced, or they're tasting a particular fish that maybe they hadn't had before, or there's a purveyor, a local purveyor like Brant Beef that supplied that product, and the chef can educate and inform. They can talk about, oh, I just saw that documentary, Fish and Men, and let's talk about the seafood that you're serving up. We also do like butchery demonstrations, and then people get a chance to taste the product, that was just, provided to them freshly. So it's just, it's a different way of looking at these festivals. We still have our big grand tasting. It's a massive experience. Sure. It's right out on our Embarcadero. It's gorgeous. It's right on the water. So there's no shortage of, in fact, there's more to consume than you can. But now, just while you're doing it, maybe you're mentally engaged as much as you
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
using your palate.
A story behind every bite or a story behind every sip,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, I might
Um,
take that.
I, from researching the fast forward story, um, I see that that's pervade. You do a lot of work, industry kind of focused events as well, right? And I'm guessing that this is all kind of a confluence of what's affecting the path of the festival a little bit. You're so connected now with growers and vintners and farmers that you're like, I cannot not tell these stories, which is an awesome transition. Tell us for the festival and even for your company as it grows. Tell us a little bit about
Conferences and symposiums and trade shows and retreats for the adult beverage industry. So we have a conference called SomCon. It's a multi-day educational conference for sommeliers, on and off premise buyers, wholesalers, importers, distributors, and it's really immersive education. Lots of master classes and panels designed to help them elevate their palates. So a lot of times they're learning from and talking to a lot of the vintners and the growers and the winemakers about it might be like appellation specific or it may be varietally specific. So there's a lot of education that we're doing in that space, but also talking about the growth of the industry and where some of the trends are from a consumer buying perspective and helping them connect the dots between what is trending versus what they should be doing in terms of their buying patterns, right? So what what are the opportunities that exist for their retail environments, for their by the glass programs, what should be landing on their lists. A lot of our professionals too in these events are continuing their own education. So we for their certifications. So we provide a lot of like advanced learning opportunities for them as well. In addition to SomCon, we have a conference for the craft beverage industry. So these are independent producers of craft beverages. And for that, we're helping them learn about how, this life's work that they've had in creating these products, these brands, how we help them go to market. So it's about learning what their distribution strategies are. It can also be about manufacturing. It's really kind of everything that the producer needs in order to create and then sell their product. We have a trade show at a symposium that we produce for owners and operators of tasting and tap rooms. So like when you walk into a tasting room, there's a whole team of hospitality professionals that need training and education, and they want to know how to help their businesses grow and thrive. Most owners and operators of tasting and tap rooms are small business owners, and they're small proprietors. So where do they go to get the resources that they need to help their children's education and pay for their mortgage and all the things that they need to do as small business owners? So we help provide a lot of training and resources and material for them. And then we've got a digital asset called SomGo, which is an on-demand streaming service for the wine and spirits industry. So a lot of like education. We're very like education is kind of like a core of what we do. So we've got year-round education that people can access. A lot of it's free. So anyone tuning in who has any interest in wine or spirits, you can go to somgo.com and see a lot of education from leaders from all across the globe, really teaching about a variety of subjects, all related to wine and spirits.
fantastic. So yeah, what a deep connection to a really vibrant industry, but also one that is made up of small businesses and small producers with kind of putting their money where their mouth is. Hanging a career over being a craft producer, and needing the back end support which you're providing through these conferences, and B, the stage on which to present itself. Have there been any stories from San Diego Food and Wine that have kind of launched people, or been able, or even just products and stories you're really excited that you've been able to share through the festival?
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple things come to mind. So, um, when we first started the festival, our primary mission, as I mentioned, was in funding scholarships for students and professionals who were going to culinary school or studying enology. And I can there are like I have so many examples coming into my head at the same time. There's one story of a gentleman who applied for a scholarship, and he was going through culinary school at one of our local colleges. And he got the scholarship, and as part of it, they get to do like a little mini stage while the festival is happening, and we pair them up with a chef who's coming in from out of market, or it may even be a local chef. And we paired this chef up with Chef Suzette Grisham, who is now a two-starred Michelin chef. Her restaurant Aquarella up in San Francisco is phenomenal. She is a class act, and really connected with our scholarship winner, and wound up hiring him. So he went from, I think he was working part-time as a line cook in San Diego to working at a two-starred Michelin restaurant in San
Wow.
Francisco. And,
Fantastic.
he really credits that moment for the trajectory of his career. So I find that so rewarding. We have other examples where now master sommeliers and masters of wine received scholarships from us really early in their careers as they were going through the certifications. So I love seeing that. We got to be part of helping them along their career journey. Um, on a brand side, there's a company that participated with us last year in one of our events. They're a Canadian bitters company. And they were there participating, kind of showing their product. And we had a buyer out from one of the major casinos in Las Vegas who loved the product, flew them out, and picked it up and started carrying it. And it just like transformed their year. It made their year for them. So I mean, there's just so many examples. Yeah. Yeah.
Media and getting great coverage for the event. So I'm sure we can put some links into other things we can promote, or at least get the story, keep the story going for people that are interested. Just from a personal aspect, as we wrap up here, I don't want to limit it. I know I've been limiting you, and tell me one or two. Are there maybe a top 3 tastes or sips maybe that you're looking forward to this year's festival? I know. How do you keep it?
That's really hard. So, as you can tell, like, I'm not short on words. So editing
Sure.
myself is really tough. But I Okay, so I think that there's a really special event that's going to be happening with the winemaker Matt Crafton from Chateau Montelena. It hasn't gone on sale yet. When it does, it's going to get snapped up. It's Suzette Gresham from Aquarella is doing it, along with Chef Bernard Guilles and another chef Aaron Schwartz. And it's going to be at a private residence in Rancho Santa Fe, which is just going to be kind of like over the top, really, really amazing and decadent. But it's going to be phenomenal because the winemaker is coming out, and he's going to be showing a lot of really fun wines. I think that one's going to be pretty special. I think that for me, my absolute favorite event winds up being our Grand Fiesta. Maybe it's the one because it's the end and our team's relaxing and we're kind of celebrating too, knowing that it's coming to a close. But I think that part of it is the food is just I don't know, like it's soulful. Like you taste it and you feel like you're in the chef's kitchen. Like I feel like I'm having something that if I were to go and sit down and be a guest in your home, I feel like you're serving me something with soul. And that event for me is like just bite after bite of just like a big hug. And I love it so much. Maybe the like putting a bow on it because it's our 20th anniversary. We're doing something a little special. We are doing a 20th anniversary bash. And our focus is on the World's Best Bars program. So we have several bars from that program that are flying in to do some fun activations. So I'm really excited to be tasting all these cocktails from some of the world's best bars. So rather than us having to go to all these places to visit them, we're bringing them here. So that's a few of my highlights.
Okay. Well, that is going to be a great way to close this out because I want people enticed. I want them to be coming to San Diego, not just for the tastes and the sips, but also to get these backstories, these wonderful stories of the people and the products that they're making that you are helping to feature and, promote. And now they reach for the stars, through these little moments that you're creating at this festival that are magnified, to the nth degree. So thank you so much for talking here today. I mean, this is richer than I even imagined. It does seem like there's something for everyone, and then there's great depth. Your people may be just coming for, let's just go, have some bites and some drinks, and they're going to walk out so much richer for the experience from the work that you and your team do.
The things that we always say is, you can see it on our website, but you might be coming in town for a festival, but when you get here, you will arrive at awesome. You will arrive at something really, really special. And so, our tag always is arrive at awesome because, there's just no other word that we could really think of that captured the feeling that people get when they actually understand the magnitude of what we've created. It's really special.
And you are doing awesome things, and you as well are awesome. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right, that wraps up another fascinating episode of Event Explorer. A huge thank you to Michelle Meter for joining us today and sharing her incredible journey and the inspiring story behind the San Diego Bay Food and Wine Festival. Conversations like these allow us to go beyond the surface and really hear the passions and challenges and triumphs of these amazing individuals who bring these spectacular events to life. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more in-depth conversations with these masterminds behind some of the world's most unique and engaging events, be sure to follow us. You can find us on your favorite podcast platforms or on social media. Your support through subscribing, sharing, and interacting really helps us bring these stories to life. So thank you for doing your part. And thank you for tuning in. We look forward to exploring more extraordinary events with you in the next episode. So until then, happy exploring.